Hello Stampers, my name is MJ Owens and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the US. Today I would like to show you how I made this card. This technique has been around for a long time and it's really a fun card to make. When you pull out the inside portion, it's colored. So it's really quite a surprise. I'm calling this the magic color card. Okay, let me show you what we need to make this card. The base layer is going to be one of our new colors this year, and that's Pineapple Punch, and it's an 8.5 by 11 scored at 5.5 and cut at 4 1/4, so it makes a top folding card. The inside layer is Whisper White, cut it at 4 by 5. Then we need a window sheet and a piece of Whisper White, both cut at 5 by 3 3/4. Then another new color this year is Shaded Spruce, and it's these two pieces are cut at 5.5 by 2 5/8. Then we need a scrap white and a scrap black, and that's to cut out our banner. We're going to use the 1.5 inch circle punch. The ink pads are black Stazon and Mimento black. We're going to use two Stampin' Right markers, the Pineapple Punch and the Pumpkin Pie. And then we are going to use for the banner just the single banner framelit out of the bunch of banners, Framelits. And then we're going to use the largest oval out of the layering ovals. And then the stamp sets, we're using a few. We're going to use, this is a 2-box stamp set here. Let me find the other half of it. This is Beautiful You. And out of Beautiful You, I am using this image of the girl here, and then this saying, Life Looks Beautiful on You. Hand Delivered is a hostess set in the back of the new catalog this year, and out of this stamp set, I'm using Happy Birthday. Out of the Banners for You, I'm using the single banner stamp because we're also going to use the single banner framelit. And then out of the High Tide stamp set, we're just using the bird image, but I'm using these 3 little birds right here. So the first thing we're going to do is bring in the Big Shot and cut the oval out of our base piece. Set this aside. So here's the Big Shot. See if I can keep this all in frame for you. So we're going to layer the oval as best we can to try to center it. So we're going to try to get it pretty even, top and bottom and side to side. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, we're going to run that through. And then let's put that aside to use later and put our oval aside. And then on the inside layer, the little window sheet, that's the 5 by 3 3/4. So what we're going to do is line it up at the top pretty even on both sides, and then turn it over and mark where we're going to do our stamping. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now what we're going to do next, while we have the Big Shot still here, is use our scrap black and go ahead and cut out our little banner. So let's lay that on there. kind of wants to jump around with the magnets in here. Okay, so we're going to cut the little banner out. Okay, so there we have our banner. We'll set that aside. And we're done with the big shot. So let's get it out of the way. The next thing I want to do is stamp our image on the window sheet and the white using the Stamparatus. And since the stamp set that we're using is rubber, we don't need the little black mat that goes inside here. We just stamp directly on the base. So we'll put this up in the corner, hold it down with our magnet, put this where we think we want the image to stamp, and then we bring this down and pick up the stamp. We're going to stamp on the white piece of cardstock just using the Mimento jet black ink. Tuxedo black, sorry. Okay, let's bring it over, get our image nice and stamped. And that looks good. So we're going to take this one away and get our window sheet and put it up in the corner. Since these are cut exactly the same size, it's going to stamp exactly in the same place using the Stamparatus. So now we'll use our Tuxedo jet black. Our jet black, not Tuxedo jet black. Our jet black Stazon, and that's because when you stamp on plastic, you need an ink that won't rub off. So we're using Stazon. And once you get that stamped on, it'll take a little bit to dry. That's why we're stamping early while we work on the rest of our card. So I'm going to set this aside so I can clean it with Stazon cleaner. Go ahead and put a little bit of that on while I'm at it. And that way I can keep my stamp nice and clean. Okay, so we're done with our window sheet. We'll let it dry and put the Stamparatus away. Okay. So we're going to get our scoreboard out, and on the 2 pieces of shaded spruce, we're going to score 1/4 inch down the long side. So 1/4 inch down the long side, and I'll do it a couple of times because it's hard to fold the tiny little pieces unless you have a good crease. So 1/4 inch down the long side. There. So we're done with the scoreboard. Let's go ahead and fold those back. And we're going to give them a good burnish with our bone folder. Okay. Ooh. Set those aside for a second, and we're going to go ahead and glue the inside white piece, which is the 4x5, to the inside of the card. And I'm lining it up at the top because all we want this to do is make sure that the oval has a white background. Okay. Then the next, now this is the top of our card, so the next thing we're going to do is glue on our side pieces. So let's open these up a little bit, and we're going to put a little bit of Tombow, doesn't take much, along the side. So once we have that on there, we're going to push this all the way up against the side, making sure the top and bottom are even. Scoot it down a little bit. And fold that over and just make sure it gets adhered. Okay, so that one's done. And now we'll do the other side. Make sure the top and bottom are even, and it's pushed up against the side of the card. Let's see if I can scoot that down a little bit there. Just make sure they're adhered. Okay. So then that is how our card is going to look. So what we need to do next is take some tear and tape. Let me grab that right quick. Okay, so with our tear and tape, we're just going to go along that one of the edges. Go ahead and burnish that down really well. Peel it off and close our card. So that is how our card is going to look right there. And this is the top with the opening. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is go ahead and erase our pencil lines from the oval. Okay, let's go ahead and bring in our pierce mat and stamp this little "Life Looks Beautiful on You." Oops, "Life Looks Beautiful on You," that stamp right there. And we'll put it on our little clear block here. Okay, let's use our Mimento ink. Get a good image. Right there. And then, let's see, let's go ahead and do the little birds out of the high tide. So let's use a big stamp block. Okay, so let's try to put the birds right up here. Okay, that looks good. And then I think that's all the stamping we're going to do on that part. Well, we have the ink out. Let's go ahead and get our happy birthday stamped and our banner stamped. Set this aside for a second. Okay. And then we'll go ahead and do the happy birthday inside the banner. Get a good image. And then I'm going to fussy cut the banner out, and I'll show you why. So I will speed up the video so you don't have to watch me fussy cut this whole banner out. Okay, so once you get the banner cut out, let me get rid of these scraps. Once you cut out from the framelit the banner, oops, I had it the right way. Then if you stamp the banner and fussy cut it out, when you put it on the framelit, you're going to have a black border, a built-in black border. So that makes it look really, really nice. So let's go ahead and glue that together. Okay, there is our banner with a nice little border. Set that aside. So what we're going to do next is color our picture using the Stampin' Right markers. And I think I'll give her a yellow umbrella, and that is Pineapple Punch to match the outside of the card. Nice bright color. And then we'll use Pumpkin Pie for her dress. And then if you need to shade, like where these little lines are already built in that shows you where the creases are in your dress, if you go over it again, just in those areas, it makes it a little bit darker. And that looks like it's shaded. Okay, so I think I'll use the Petal Pink marker for the skin tone. And the reason why I am not using the blends, because one of the blends, the ivory one, I think is the one that makes a really good skin tone. It'll bleed through the back of the card, and the way this card is made, we don't want that to happen. So this will look good. Okay, let's see. Let's give her some shoes that will match her umbrella. And then we'll use an Old Olive Stampin' Right marker for the grass. Or the ground, I should say. This is probably a shadow. Okay. So the next thing that we do is get our window sheet, which should be dry by now. Hopefully. It looks like it is. And when you put the two together, they are perfectly lined up. So we take a little bit of Scotch tape for the top. We just put a little skinny edge right there. We want it to stay together. Well, I think I got that a little bit off maybe. Let me see. That looks good. And another little piece for the other corner. Okay, then I have some washi tape, and that's just to put along the very top edge, just because I don't want that Scotch tape to show. Okay, so put that up there and cut it off. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the back side as well. Okay, I'll cut this off. Window sheet's a little bit off. And we'll cut this off. And that's just to give it a little bit of decoration so you don't see the Scotch tape. So let's use our circle punch and cut out just a little portion. Make sure that's the top, just so you can grab a hold of it. And let's try to get it as even as we can. Of cardstock. Okay. Whew. Let's go ahead and put some dimensionals on the back of the banner. We'll put one on the very bottom. There. That'll be enough. We don't want it to go over the edge of the oval because that'll stick to the inside of the card. Okay. Okay. So let's put this like right there. And then when you open this card up, you have both your layers. The inside white sheet that we put in, one of the layers is going to go on one side and the other is going to go on the other side. So once you put your card in, you slide it down, you're just seeing the stamped image on the window sheet, and then when you pull it out, you're seeing the colored image. So isn't that cute? So that'll be a fun card for someone to get. I just love playing with it. So there you have it. I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial today. And if you don't have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I would love to earn your business. I will list all the products below. And in order to get to my online store, you just type in www.mjowens.stampinup.net and it'll take you directly to my online store. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I really appreciate it. Bye.